In this video, we will talk about administrators and companies in the context of Kaspersky SAP. As you will recall, the user whose credentials are specified during company registration on the platform becomes the head admin of the corporate workspace and receives full permissions to perform all operations on the platform. This user can manage companies and license keys, training programs, users and groups, add other administrators, and assign roles to them based on their tasks. Why would you need to add more administrators? One of the most obvious scenarios is delegating various tasks to other employees. It may be too difficult to manage company and user settings, training programs, phishing campaigns, and reporting alone, so an administrator can share responsibilities with other information security specialists. The portal allows you to grant granular permissions to users in order to limit their actions on the platform. Another scenario is assigning dedicated administrators to different companies. Remember that during the registration, not only an administrator account is created, but also a company. After registration, the administrator can add other companies to the same workspace. This management model can be used in large organizations with a distributed structure consisting of numerous branches or child companies. It is also popular with managed service providers or managed security service providers. In any case, the head admin can create multiple companies and assign employees to each of them who will be responsible for specific functions in the portal. For example, administrators or technical support specialists, training managers, auditors, and so on. Let's start by adding a new company. Let's specify its name, which must be unique within the platform, the domain name that will be used as a prefix when generating links to training, and the language in which invitations will be sent by default. The company has been created. Note that the web console has automatically switched to the workspace of the newly created company. Administrators can switch between the companies they have access to. Now let's open the list of administrators. You can see a list of users and their permissions. Permissions are controlled by predefined roles. At the moment, we have only one administrator with the maximum privileges. A user can have the following permissions. View training parameters and individual user reports. This is the observer role. Configure training settings without access to personal user reports. This is the training manager role. Configure training settings and view personal user reports, the observer and training manager roles simultaneously. Manage all settings for a specific company, including training settings. This is the company admin role. It automatically includes the permissions of the observer and training manager roles. The head admin role can manage the main account, administrators, company settings, license keys, quotas, and so on. Note that this role does not grant permissions to manage training groups, curricula, or phishing campaigns. Head admin permissions are enabled separately from other roles and are not tied to a company. For more details on the functionality available to each role, see the product help. Let's add a new administrator. Enter the user's full name, email address, and the language in which the invitation containing a link to the administrator portal and basic information will be sent. Now you need to define the privileges for this user. This employee will be the company admin for the newly created company. Save the changes. The new user appears in the list of administrators with the status invited. This means that instructions have been emailed to them. Let's open this user's mailbox and find the invitation. The platform informs that the user has been granted administrator access to a SAP. To complete the administrator's registration, set a password and accept the terms of use. Note that the link is valid for 30 days. Let's set a password, accept the license agreement, the data processing agreement, privacy statement, and log on to the portal. In the web interface of the portal, administrators can see only the workspace of the company that they have been granted access to. You can see that all user permissions are limited to the current company. The administrator cannot create new companies or even open the list of companies, manage licenses, and the admins section shows only the rights applicable to the current company. In other words, company administrators do not know anything about other companies and cannot modify any settings outside their own workspace. Only the head admin role can manage these access permissions. Managed service providers or managed security service providers may need to grant access to companies so that the head admin either does not have access to created companies or has limited privileges. Only local administrators of each company should be able to manage it and assign permissions within it, add users, and assign training groups to them. Let's revoke the company admin and training manager roles from our head admin, leaving only RAID permissions for training settings and access to reports, and check the result. Let's return to the head admin console and switch to the workspace of our new company to make sure the head admin can no longer manage the training program settings or the company. The elements of the web console interface used to add users, create and configure training groups and phishing campaigns, and configure company settings are hidden. Let's go back to the Administrators section and see what other actions the head admin can take. From a user's context menu, you can edit the administrator's personal data and a number of available permissions, as well as block or delete the administrator from the platform. Note that you cannot delete the head admin account yourself after activating the license key. This operation is irreversible and will result in the deletion of all data associated with the workspace, companies, administrators, users, learning results, and so on. If you really need to remove everything, contact Kaspersky Technical Support. Note that each administrator has a personal settings section. Administrators can schedule the generation of training reports for their companies here and, if necessary, change the platform access password. Another important point to discuss related to company management is license quotas. Note that all companies created within the same workspace share a single pool of licenses by default. You can see that the new company has 496 out of 500 training slots available, i.e., all but the 4 slots occupied by students from the previously created company. In some cases, it may be necessary to limit the time or number of concurrent users learning in some companies. You can do this by setting a quota for the company. In this case, training will be available only during the time period defined by the administrator. Before this period starts and after it expires, no training will be available for this company. Only the administrator with the head admin role can set training quotas. Let's return to the Companies and Licensing section of the head admin console and set a quota for the second company. With no quota activated, this company has no restrictions. It can take any available training slots. Suppose we want to set a quota for a group of 50 students from January 1st to the end of February. Information about the set quota is displayed in the console. Let's open the console of the Glavriba administrator and check. You can see that the total number of licenses and currently available training slots has changed to 50 according to the configured quota. The administrator can also see the expiration date. Note that after the quota expires, the company will no longer have access to the training slot pool, and training will be automatically blocked for the company. To continue training, either deactivate or renew the quota. At the same time, the company created during registration can use all free slots without any restrictions. It is worth noting that the counters for the maximum number of users that can be trained simultaneously are added up for all valid license keys on a given date. Therefore, if the total number of slots for concurrent users is not enough, and it is impossible to free up slots for new students, the administrator can add several license keys simultaneously to combine the total number of available training slots.